What up, perps? Kid Copious back in the bunker. Purple State Party. You know what we're doing here, man? We're repping America, the center, common sense, and keep on popping in the free world. Yeah, this has been an inspirational week, folks. Learned of a woman in Italy. Disagree with her politics, but man, she started her own party 10 years ago. And that's what I'm trying to do here, man. I'm not just a talking head complaining. You might see that down in my comment section. I took some exception to that, man. I'm not mad. I take that as an inspiration. And I just want to say that this is not just some dude in a mask complaining. This is the start of something, man. This is Purple State. You know, we need another way, and we're gonna see more of that as we get into the show. But yeah, this is not just about complaining, man. This is about trying to do something. So let's get rolling. All right, so let's kick this episode off as we usually do, talking about the title of the episode: Three Lies and a Truth. These are not the three lies, although they're not exactly telling the truth. We will get to this Lucille Ball-looking motherfucker later. But first, let's get to lie number one, which is Joe Biden in his victory lap over the Inflation Reduction Act. Another narcissistic, agenda-pushing, drive us off a cliff idea. 500,000 charging stations across America for cars that don't even exist. Nearly half of the electric vehicles on the road are in California. So where are the other, less than 1 million or around 1 million electric vehicles? We're going to put up 500,000 chargers. So there'll be one charger for every 2 cars. I mean, do we need charging stations in Kansas quite yet? I don't know. This top-down government forcing of electric vehicles is ridiculous. These things need to be driven by the market. People did not build gas stations because the government told them to. They built gas stations because they saw a gap in the market, and they filled the gap in the market. That's the way things should run, but not with the Democrats. Oh, no, no, no. They will push the agenda until they push us off a fucking cliff. Even CNN's starting to realize that. It's hard to be celebratory. CNN cuts away from the Biden victory lap to note that the Dow and all of our retirement took a total beating, a massacre. The consumer price index shot up to 8.3%. People can barely afford the necessities anymore. Do you see where their crazy-ass agenda is leading us? Maya Flores will lead us into lie number 2. Kamala Harris, the border is not secure. It is wide open. You would know the difference if you actually did your job. We hire these people. We elect these people to do a job, but yet then we sit back and we cheer when they don't do the job. When they leave us hanging, when they make our streets unsafe, when they make food too expensive to afford. And Kamala Harris saying the border is secure, that's a bald-faced lie. And people on that side of the fence should be calling her out on it. They shouldn't just be allowing that, oh, well, there goes Kamala. Well, I guess it's secure. Oh, yeah. If KH says it. No, it's not. The border is secure, shouts Kamala Harris while crowd surfing on migrant caravan. Yeah, that's about the truth of the matter. And what's coming across that border? The cartels, the new ISIS with their fentanyl, their human trafficking, rape, and murder. And of course they're going to vote for Biden because he's leaving the border wide open. He didn't just leave the front door open, he removed the fucking front of the house, folks. Come on. And this is what it's led to. A 15-year-old girl is dead after overdosing on Percocet pills apparently laced with fentanyl. LAPD says overdoses are on the rise, but what are they doing to protect the kids? What are they allowed to do? We catch people with thousands of pills, we release them on their own recognizance, and then they disappear to repeat and repeat and repeat. That's what's going on. Third lie, the Inflation Reduction Act, and what Pelosi had to say about it. Pelosi says Inflation Reduction Act, which won't reduce inflation, is so beautifully named. Yeah, it's beautifully named. You know why it's beautifully named? Because it convinces people that you're doing something. See, Here in California, we want to legalize online gambling. But we're not going to say the bill to legalize online gambling. They call it the bill to end homelessness. They have no problem lying. These politicians lie. There needs to be truth in labeling when it comes to politics. And what are the root causes of all those things? Fentanyl deaths, rising crime, defund the police, violence, recession, open borders, inflation, higher taxes, riots. What is the root cause? Joe Biden and the Democrats. A majority of voters say Biden is dividing the country. And that leads me into the truth. The truth is, we have the Republicans to blame. We have the conspiracy between the Republicans and the Democrats to blame. The Democrats aren't going to vote to protect same-sex marriage until after the election because they know what the Republicans are going to do. The Republicans are going to block this because they are going to concede good sense to the far right, just like the Democrats conceded common sense to the far left. They're going to do the same thing. The Supreme Court has defended same-sex marriage, but no, Clarence Thomas wants to, revisit that idea. Seriously? You wonder why people are voting for Democrats. It's because of stuff like this. This is not American. Two men getting married is no big deal. We shouldn't make it a big deal. Okay? It's common sense. It's called freedom. Freedom to be who you want to be. But here come the Republicans. They're introducing a bill to ban abortion nationwide after 15 weeks. Never mind that most Americans support abortion up until the last trimester. No. Boom, we're going to ban abortion. We're going to sit here and we're going to talk shit about Islamic countries and Sharia law, but we're going to force women to have babies. Right. And we're going to say it's in the name of protecting the babies. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's about your control. It's about you pushing your Christian values onto people. Oh, this, that, and the other thing. And one of the biggest places where I disagree with them is their treatment of the LGBT community. Yes, there are radicals in that group. Radicals who want to do dumb shit. Who want teachers to teach sexuality. We know this. We know there's radicals in every group. But up to 1.6 million young people experience homelessness. About 40% of those are LGBT. So about 640,000. This is an older study. I'm sure that number is closer to 700,000 now. But why are they on the streets? 46% of them ran away because of family rejection of their sexual orientation or gender identity. 43% were forced out by parents. And 32% faced physical, emotional, or sexual abuse at home. Sometimes it's based on religion. They think their child is a sinner or that their child needs to be punished. So they see the error of the ways. They might think if they force their child to leave their home. No. I can speak on this. I went through this. That's a poor choice of words. I just slapped myself. I experienced this when my daughter sent me a text late at night saying that her friend was going to come out to her parents and what I thought about it. And like I told her, I said, I don't really care about sexual orientation. It doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change my love for a person, blah, 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 blah. Then about 12:45 at night, I get a text saying, well, it wasn't a friend, it was me. And I was like, that's great. I still don't care. Can I go back to bed? Kids will make choices that might disappoint their parents. But it is a job of a parent to accept those choices and to move on with love and kindness. I was reading a story about a 15-year-old girl who was murdered while skateboarding. Murdered by a crazed homeless man on meth. No, he wasn't homeless, excuse me. He had a job. But he was on meth. And he beat, strangled, and stabbed her to death. And how those parents must have felt. knowing that they would never see their little girl again. And there's parents out there who are making that choice to simply kick their kids out for being gay. And I don't think they're the Biden voters. We pretty sure we know who they're voting for. This graphic is just up because, if you are a youngster in the LGBT community and you're facing that kind of bullshit at home, here's some resources for you. The Los Angeles LGBT Center. Purple is pride. As much as I'll defend my rights to a firearm, I will defend a boy's right to be gay. I will defend a boy's right to be a girl. I want it done with some common sense. I want it done in the best interest of the child, but I support their decision. This is why it's the Republicans' fault. Because of their shitty platform, banning abortion, Trump basically outlawing gay marriage after we've already had it for a while now. And we see that there's no harm in that. But no, they want to revisit that. And that's why Democrats are stuck in power. Because of the intolerance of the right. Because the far right is a bunch of egocentric, Bible-thumping idiots who would rather throw away their gay son than to embrace him. And then say, well, that's what God would want? Nah, I don't think that's what Jesus would want. Anyhow, on to other things. We're going to hit some bullet points. Yeah, that one took a little bit out of me. A little smoky smoke there. So I just put this one up because this is becoming a more popular thing now in these fucking liberal-run cities. Officers in the case responded promptly, but under the department's vehicle pursuit policy, chases could only happen when there's a reasonable suspicion of a violent, forcible crime or suspicion a firearm is involved. Great. So you're not going to pursue criminals now. This is in San Francisco. It applies to Chicago. You're not going to give pursuit. Somebody will run from you, and you will just let them go. Wow. Wow, that is not making the streets safe at all. That is a bad message. But again, Republicans might have an answer, but all they want to do is talk about abortion and ending gay rights. We got to lighten this up a little bit here. The Queen died last week, as we all are aware of. But now they have to replace all the banknotes that have her face on it. This is bizarre. They are literally going to withdraw all the currency with the Queen on it and replace it with money bearing the portrait of King Charles the Third. Oh, so fancy. I drink my tea with my pinky in the air. Yeah, I don't know. That sounded more German. But this is this is crazy. You talk about governments wasting money on things, but I guess that's the way they do things over there, man. The Queen dies and they remove her from the money and passports and things like that. That's just post box too. I mean, it's just absolutely bizarre. I mean, I guess keeping traditions alive does have some importance, but this one just cracks me up. So here's another one. Quick update on this story. They did catch the two burglars, but 2 firearms were stolen from Karen Bass, who's running for mayor of LA. They were safely and securely stored, but they weren't. And cash, electronics, and other valuables were left behind. She had a lockbox that was basically just sitting on a shelf. I mean, you got to secure your safe or people will just walk off with the safe. It's fucking, oh God, common sense 101, folks. If you have a safe and somebody can pick it up and walk off with it, it ain't a safe. It's just collecting everything for the criminals. So these criminals stole some guns, despite being safely secured and stored. They mentioned that a couple times, just to let you know she didn't have them laying around, because she probably did. But it is suspicious. It is kind of suspicious. I don't know if the guns were recovered. I have not read that they were. I know that 2 people are under arrest, but I don't know, man. This is suspicious to me. But Bass earlier had said that she felt a 10 out of 10 safety in Los Angeles. Yeah, okay. In another examples of Democrats making black ladies look stupid, Pierre has to get up there and say that it's cruel to send migrants to liberal sanctuary cities. They're liberal sanctuary cities. Now, I will say that sending migrants to Martha's Vineyard was vindictive and a political stunt. Sending them to Chicago and Washington, D.C., that's just spreading the problem out. Look, guys, I've said many times before, what happens at the border is America's problem, not Texas's problem. So if the Democrats want to allow people to flood across the border, then they're going to have to deal with the consequences. That's only fair. But sending them to Massachusetts, little sus. Little sus there. Yeah, they're promised a home, promised a job, put on a bus, and driven to. I don't really know who's promising them a job because it's illegal for them to work here, supposedly. But, not to be outdone, Gavin Newsom decides that he is going to ask Garrick Marlowe, whatever his fucking name is, that limp dick that runs the Department of Justice, to consider kidnapping charges. Oh, man. See, woke is not just about having these idealistic ideals. It's about having the stupidest. See? It has to be stupid. So this is extremely woke. He wants the DOJ to investigate illegal acts by Governor DeSantis and Greg Abbott. What about him? What about him not listening to the public? What about him abolishing the death penalty despite us voting to keep it? What about him allowing the bullet train to continue even though it's not what we voted for? But I will give Gavin some credit. He has started mental health court. And 2 of our larger counties are going to be the first to implement it. Advocates say it'll connect, opponents say forces, unhoused people with severe mental health or substance abuse disorders into treatment. There are opponents to that, folks. There are people who say that the street people with mental illness or substance abuse should not be forced into treatment. How do you really rationalize that? I don't know. I can't get into their headspace. But their care court is going to order treatment. And it's high time. Gavin's running for president, and he can't have California looking like the shithole it is. He needs to clean it up or he's going to get murdered in the presidential primaries. But I think it's a good idea. One of the things that can help or would be a benefit of this and would help the homeless situation is if we could get people cleaned up enough to return to their families in whatever states they came from. Not just so that they're not on our streets, so that they're living the best life possible. Not doing dope or just living in psychosis out on the streets. So, this is now about those 3 whack jobs you saw in the opening title card there. LA School District slammed for saying anyone who claims junk food is bad is racist. Yeah, those 3. Savage, Fatty, and that other one. They claim it's wrong to call junk food bad and blames a system of oppression for the alleged prejudice. Right. This is the LA Unified School District that posted this video on their Instagram account. See, they had a food neutrality. Woke video. See, again, woke. See, dumb. It's got to be devoid of common sense for it to be truly woke. The nutritionist, Kira, works for one of the largest snack companies and manufacturers of delicious things such as Oreos, Chips Ahoy, Cadbury, and Sour Patch Kids. And she's up there saying that diet culture, fat phobia, and systems of oppression have created false hierarchies of food. She's a nutritionalist. Okay? The other two are just whack jobs. But she's a nutritionalist. One of the whack jobs says the example of exercising to earn food or consuming vegetables as a punishment to earn dessert creates harmful thought patterns. Really? You know what's really harmful thought patterns? Thinking that a fucking Twinkie and broccoli have the same nutritional value. Oh, man. The woke people, man. We should approach food with neutrality instead of focusing on good or bad choices. In the video, Maya, I'm not even attempted. The only foods that are bad for you are foods that contain allergens, poisons, and contaminants, or food that are spoiled or otherwise inedible. Really? Wow. So there is really no difference between a Milky Way and a carrot. Wow. There's no difference between fried chicken and grilled chicken. Do you really think that kids are thinking this way? You really think that like the kids are looking at a kid eating a Twinkie and going, oh, look at that person. No, they're thinking, I wish I had a fucking Twinkie. But LA school district shared a video of a food rep selling high fructose corn syrup to our kids. The union accused the district of trying to undermine parents and tell our kids that we've lied to them. There are good foods and there are bad foods, folks. Okay? I'm a smoker. I don't delude myself into believing that smoking is good. Okay? Eating Burger King every day is not good. All right? You ever hear of a garbanzo bean? It's much better for you. Yeah, bonzos. Awkward. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi tells the audience that's an applause line. Because even their own side is growing tired of their bullshit. But what is their alternative? What is their alternative? The intolerant right? Jesus. Mr. President, thank you for unifying and inspiring a vision of a stronger, fairer, safer future for all our children. Bullshit. Your extraordinary leadership has made this glorious day possible. Bullshit. That's an applause line, she added, after her remarks were met with complete silence. Yeah, because he hasn't unified shit. He has not inspired anything. And we do not know that switching to electric vehicles is a safer future. Okay? Electricity kills. It's very easy to die from high voltage. And that's what we're talking about, folks. I'm not going to get on to EVs. We're going to get on this bullshit. Biden administration allots billions to install harm reduction kiosks full of drug supplies in rural Kentucky. Really? So that they don't have to have the stigma of speaking to a human being. And what's going to be in these free vending machines? Oh, injection equipment, Narcan, fentanyl test strips, hygiene kits, condoms, and other supplies. Oh. We're just going to put this out for free in a vending machine? Now, what could possibly go wrong with this? People need to get off drugs, man. You know, if you're not doing drugs, you don't need fentanyl test strips, I'll tell you that much. Fentanyl has cost the life of a lot of people, man. A lot of people who did not sign up to do fentanyl. A lot of people who, when paramedics arrived, did not receive the right treatment because they didn't know they had ingested an opioid. Narcan is a drug used to offset the effects of opioid overdose. So if you're doing cocaine, you're not going to tell the paramedics, oh yeah, give them Narcan. And this has got to be one of the craziest, most wokest, dumb fucking shit I've ever seen. California okays bill that would strip custody from parents of out-of-state minors seeking trans surgeries. Now, I made my opinion very clear. I support every single transgender person out there. But there needs to be common sense. The evidence is that these kind of surgeries without proper therapy first are really the brutal attacks on transgender kids. They're saying not allowing your kid to lop off their penis, that's cruel. Then why is it that the American College of Pediatricians has pointed out that 85% of minors who suffer from gender confusion, I don't like that word, but that's what they said, have their feelings resolved by adulthood. And studies show that undergoing gender transition surgeries and using puberty-blocking hormones can lead to increased depression and suicide. And why is that? Well, if you say that you're a boy and you feel like a girl, the psychiatrist just runs with that and never delves into what else might be going on. Lots of people, most people in fact, that suffer from one problem generally suffer from another problem. I myself was a rampant drug addict, but I also suffer from anxiety and depression, and I self-medicated. I'm sure there are a lot of kids out there who firmly believe that once they have the puberty blockers or the surgery, they will be okay. And when they're not, that increases depression and increases the likelihood of suicide. We need to address the entire child first. We need to allow them to live their life without making life-altering decisions at such a young age. Found this one quite fascinating. More than 90% of North Pacific garbage patch comes from just 6 countries. And, I mean, you would think you know number 1 and number 2, but you don't. They all have industrialized fishing industries. Okay. You know, a third of the trash was unidentifiable, but a lot of it was identifiable. It came from 6 places. Wonder who's topping that list. Yeah, Japan. I'm flabbergasted by this because Japan has a very rigorous recycling program, and they are known for being tidy. For lack of a better word, they cleaned up their World Cup locker rooms. I'm not saying this based on some sort of unknown stereotype. They pride themselves on that. They clean up after themselves at baseball games. How do I know that? My dad was there. My dad watched as the spectators cleaned up their messes, cleaned up the streamers, cleaned up the cups and the bowls and the plates and the cup holders, and cleaned all that up and took it to a trash can. So I don't know why they're polluting. Number 2, China. Not much of a surprise. But the U.S., we contribute slightly more than Canada, slightly more than Taiwan, but less than South Korea. And we dwarf these countries because we're doing our part. But environmentalists and far lefties, they want to sell us on the fact that we're responsible for all of it. But we're not. So let's get in some of the best of. We're going to start this off with this one. Man who prepped for fantasy draft for past 6 months loses first matchup 173-29. In case you care, I actually won my first matchup. I escaped by 10 points. Kind of a combination of some of my players, Saquon Barkley, doing well, and my opponent having a bad day. But that one really hurts. I know that feeling. One of my favorite movies, Blazing Saddles. Racism in America was almost dead because we were united in ridiculing racists and their beliefs. Then these two showed up and set America back 100 years. Yeah, they did. They really did. Really did. Because, quite honestly, that's the card they have. The race card. They love to play it. And it's easy when the far right are a bunch of bigots. So, But do the middle of the road Republicans ever stand up? No. They will trot the few black Republicans out every now and then to remind people, hey, we are open to everyone. But do they stomp out the far right? No. And by going after gay marriage and going after abortions, they're placating the far right. And the far right is racist. Whatever. Winsome Sears, very intelligent lady, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. The teachers just want to teach. They don't want to be part of the social this and the social that. They just want to teach and leave the political stuff out of it. Yeah, I would hope so. After dealing with Martha's Vineyard's HOA, migrants decide to go back and take their chances with the cartels. I don't think that photo was taken in Martha's Vineyard. Liberals when illegal immigrants show up in their neighborhood. Yeah. Well, you know what? What choice do they have? Again, where is a purple state? Where is a party that does not open up the borders but still can be welcoming, can still believe that sign? Black Lives Matter. No human is illegal. Well, I don't know about that. We have laws. But you notice that's what they did. When they showed up in Chicago, they bust them right out. When they sent them to Washington, D.C., they declared a state of emergency. I'll give them credit, though. Like I said, Martha's Vineyard was somewhat of a ridiculous stunt. Martha's Vineyard is clearly not a place set up to take care of a lot of homeless people. FBI reports fantastic night's sleep after raid on My Pillow. Yeah, just because this guy doesn't trust the election results, the FBI is going to raid him. That's not a way to run a country, folks. It's not. You want to know how dictators got started? Look at what's going on in the Biden administration. Migrants declined Newsom's offer of asylum in California since they just came from a collapsing communist hellhole with no electricity. It is. Newsom and his ilk don't give a shit about the average person on the streets. They don't care if our mothers and our daughters are being assaulted by homeless people. They don't care. They don't care that it makes no sense to release armed robbers on no bail. They don't care. They don't care. The chaos plays into their agenda. I can't even figure that one out. But that's how it is. They have these woke DAs who release criminals and make the streets unsafe, and they continue and they up the ante and they say the police can't arrest you for this, the police can't pursue you for this, blah, 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 blah. But you know why they're doing it? Because they can. Because they know nobody's going to turn to the Republicans, and there are no other parties in town. All other parties are just offshoots of other parties. That's why we need a new party. Purple State. Google Map introduces new, most ridiculous route imaginable button. Oh, that's fucking awesome, man. That's Babylon Bee. You could be so funny, man. Sometimes I disagree with them, but man, that's awesome. And that's a fun way to kind of close out the show a little bit. I just wanted to say last week was September 11th, and if you could see my face, you would see how hard this one is for me. I didn't talk about it last week because it was really hard for me. Watching what happened that day, thinking about all the people who lost loved ones, thinking about all the heroes who died, remembering the unity of those times makes me sad. Makes me really sad, and I couldn't deal with it. I just had to let it go last week, man. But that hole in the heart of America is no longer being created by mad bombers on a plane. It's being created by our politicians. And I think that's something we need to remember. And I think on that somber note, we will move to the closing of this here show. Did you miss me? Back on your screen. So, it's been a heavy show, and I'm really trying to end the show now with some fun facts. So, I've learned a couple things this week. Things I knew before, but I guess was reminded of, would be a more accurate way of putting it. So, we all know this myth about 10,000 steps. Most health experts would say that it's between 7,000 and 8,000 is really where you do your good, and beyond 8,000 steps, it's kind of just extra, and it could actually lead to more damage to your body. The effects start to go down. But where do we get 10,000 steps? Well, we got it a long time ago when a guy invented a pedometer, and he looked at the Japanese character for 10,000. Looks something like this. Looks like a person walking. So he said, hey, that's a good round number, and he went with it, and we've stuck with it ever since. Just like the numbers that we have on the amount of plastic straws. Plastic straws, in case you don't remember, it came from a third grader, who wrote a report, and from there, that number just morphed into some sort of truth, and it set policies, and now you have to ask for a straw. How about you just throw your straws away so they end up in a landfill like everything else? Wouldn't that be easier? But we've looked at a lot of things today, and maybe it was a bit weird to hear that I blame the Republicans all of a sudden, but that was just the epiphany that I had. The other epiphany that I had was, after looking at the lady in Italy who started her own political party 10 years ago, I realized that that's what I need to do. Because we need safer streets. We need a secure border. We need to keep our Second Amendment rights. We need to defend our First Amendment rights. But we need to defend the rights of the LGBT community. We need to defend the rights of the downtrodden. We need to defend the rights of immigrants. We don't need these two parties that are both full of such bad fucking ideas. We need somebody to step up in the middle and say, look, we are going to operate on a totally different metric now. We're going to work. We're going to do the hard work. We're going to say the hard things. And we may even take some losses because we speak the truth. And yeah, that sounds a bit egotistical, but my truth comes from looking at two examples and figuring out which one makes more sense. A bit here and a bit there and a bit here and a bit here. It ends up in the middle, folks. I appreciate all of you. I love you all. I need your help. We need to build this into a bigger movement. I need those likes. I need those subscribers. We're going to need money at some point, and we're definitely going to need some help because, look, I would love to start my own political party. I would love to do for Americans what really needs to be done, but I'm going to need your help. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State Party, and so are you. Peace, y'all.